Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Today we're going to talk about nothing for 3 hours while I drink this coffee. Please just stop. Everyone and their grandmother has a podcast now, and 99% of them are unlistenable. Do you think that buying a $400 microphone makes you a storyteller? Newsflash, it doesn't. It just means we can hear you being boring in high fidelity. I'm Gareth Wenzel. I've been teaching filmmaking and media production for over a decade, and I've graded many student podcasts. The difference between a recording and a show is not the mic, it's the structure. In this video, I'm going to teach you the engine of audio storytelling, the goal, the flaw, and the truth. And then I'm going to show you how to apply my score story framework to treat your edit like a musical composition so that people actually want to listen until the end. So let's diagnose the problem. You are suffering from something I like to call procedural illiteracy. Try and say that 5 times fast. You think that audio is the easy medium because you don't have to worry about lighting or cameras. Audio is the hardest medium. In video, if the story gets boring, I can show you a pretty drone shot of a mountain to distract you. In audio, you've got nowhere to hide. If the structure fails, the listener leaves. So before we touch the timeline, we need to build the engine. Just like in film, audio stories need 3 pillars. Pillar 1 is the goal. What does the subject want? In an interview, maybe they want to justify their career. In a story, maybe they want to solve a mystery. If they don't want anything, it just ends up being noise. Pillar 2 is the flaw. What holds them back? This is the internal friction. Maybe they're arrogant, maybe they are hiding a secret. In audio, the flaw is often revealed in how they speak. It's the hesitation, the defensive tone. Pillar 3 is the truth. What do they learn? What is the realization? The moment the interview shifts from a PR puff piece to human reality, right? The story is simply the journey of the voice struggling with their flaw to achieve their goal until they discover the truth. Now let's see how we construct that on the timeline using score. S is for setup, the sonic hook. Do not start with 2 minutes of housekeeping or asking your guests how their day was. Nobody cares. Start with a question. Start with the stakes. Use a cold open, a clip from the middle of the interview that creates a mystery about the goal. Then establish the sonic world. If you're telling a story about a crime in a small town, I want to hear wind. I want to hear the gravel crunching under people's feet. Put me there before you tell me what the hell happened. C is for conflict, the contradiction. In a visual medium, conflict is action. In audio, conflict is perspective. It's the host versus the guest. It's the past versus the present. It's expectation versus reality. If your guest says, I was a perfect employee, that's the goal. You need to immediately cut to a clip of their boss saying he was fired for stealing frickin' staples. That's the flaw. Create friction on the timeline. O is for overdrive, the deep dive. This is about density. In the setup, maybe you have one voice and some light music. In overdrive, you layer it up. Narration plus interview clip plus sound effects plus faster music. You create a sonic collage that feels overwhelming for the audience. This is the part of the crime podcast where they are reading the court documents and the music is swelling and you feel like you can't breathe. You're increasing the pressure through pacing. R is for reversal. This is the most powerful tool in audio. Silence. You build all that noise in the overdrive section, and then you cut it. The reversal is the moment the tape reveals the truth. The guest admits the lie, the host realizes they were wrong. You use a hard cut to silence. Make the audience lean in to hear that pin drop. E is for enlightenment, the sign off. The music resolves to a major key. The host summarizes the journey. We thought this was a story about a robbery, but it was a story about desperation. Give the listener a feeling of closure before the credits actually roll. So let's look at a practical example. Let's say you're interviewing a guy who climbed Mount Everest. Another classic kind of tech bro podcast topic. So with the setup, maybe you have a clip of your subject saying, "I thought I was going to die." There's a cold, kind of windy ambience in the sound mix. The host's voiceover is, "John Smith had a goal to reach the top." Conflict happens when John kind of explains the training was easy. You cut to his wife saying that he missed his daughter's birthday to train, and we hear the flaw, which is obsessing, clashing with reality. Overdrive is the climb. The music gets fast, there's a sound of heavy breathing, the wind is howling, John's voice gets panicked, "I couldn't see anything." You layer all of those sounds together until it's chaotic. Reversal is the sound of an oxygen tank hissing and then stopping. There's silence. John says something like, "And then I turned around." He failed the goal to find the truth. Enlightenment is that he didn't make it to the top. He chose to live instead. The music is peaceful, it's acoustic. The closing thought is, success isn't the summit, it's the return. If you just uploaded the raw recording, it's just a guy talking about hiking. But because we structured it, it's now a story about human survival. So here's your homework. Take an interview that you've already recorded. Let's say it's 45 minutes long. I want you to cut it down to 5 minutes. Find the reversal. Find the one moment where the truth comes out. And then delete everything else. As we say in the industry, kill your darlings. If it doesn't serve the story, it just ends up being noise. And the world has more than enough frickin' noise. Come back next week when I'll apply score to radio dramas. I'll link that video here if it's already live. I'm Gareth Wenzel, that media prof. Go make some silence. And remember to kill your darlings.